I may well be asked to play something I didn't even realise was an instrument, but there's a person who's joining me in the drawing room who not only plays it as an instrument, but plays it extraordinarily well. It was originally intended to imitate bird calls, but now we're talking about the gumleaf, a bona fide tune-playing instrument, a lesser-known cousin to the didgeridoo, along with the bullroarer. It's one of three musical instruments that is developed by Indigenous Australians. So joining me in the drawing room, one of our top gumleaf players. We have a range of them in this country, as you'd imagine. If it's an Indigenous pursuit, there'd be quite a few people around who can do it. Herb Patton is his name. You may have first discovered him on Australia's Got Talent. He's an expert gumleaf player and he joins in the drawing room. Herb, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And also joining us, we thought we'd enlist the help of a physicist, Neville Fletcher, who, apart from being an accomplished flute and organ player, is also an expert on the acoustics of gumleaf blowing, and is a visiting fellow at the Research School of Physical Sciences at the ANU. Neville Fletcher, welcome to the show.
Good evening. Nice to be here.
This is going to be extraordinary. Now, I've got to ask you first, Herb. You've been playing the gumleaf from an early age.
Yes,
I understand. Was this something that was passed down in the family?
Not really. I just saw my granduncle at 5 years of age, because I grew up in a community where uncles and aunties and cousins and relations. And it was in a fringe-dwelling little town in a place called New Morella, just out of August, back in the 50s. And he was one of the, later on I found out he was one of the members of a gumleaf band, which those gumleaf bands, they were from around about 1910 up to around about 1940s. And he was one of the members.
Okay.
And I just heard the sound in the little camp and bush where I lived, in a place called New Morella.
Yep.
And just happened to pick a gumleaf off the tree the same day, where you never showed me. I made my first sound there, and then I can remember just playing
Instantly?
I was only about 5 years of age.
I've got to... Now, Neville Fletcher, you are the expert here, but I have to ask you, because my impression was that it's actually a very difficult thing to get a sound out of a gumleaf. Are we talking about some kind of child prodigy here, with Herb Patton at 5 years of age just picking up a gumleaf and lazily belting out a tune?
Well, I've tried it, and it's certainly difficult to get a good sound out of a gumleaf. But once you master the way of doing it, I guess it becomes something that's a bit like singing.
You can't master it at 5 years of age on your first go, can you, Neville?
No, I think that's really good. Of course, it is a very simple instrument. There's not much to it, but that actually makes it harder.
I've got to say, Neville, I'm not so sure that you're right, because, well, every time I think an instrument's simple, it turns out actually be a lot more complicated and there's a lot more nuance. So, Herb, tell us. Are they good gum leaves and bad gum leaves?
These leaves that I use here are called turpentine.
Yeah.
They're a very common grown leaf around the Melbourne suburbs. There's a lot of council love them because they don't shed their actual leaves in winter for the summer and that. And I find them very flexible and evergreen all around. And they call them Syncarpia glomalifera. That's the Latin name for
them.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
But
it's good that you're across your instrument.
Yes. But I do play many other eucalyptus leaves, red gum, black box, mahogany.
Right.
They've got to be in season, but this one seems to be quite palatable in season. Over the 40-odd years been playing around Melbourne, I've probably pilfered around about nearly 60-odd trees coming from up to the suburbs around Melbourne. He's coming down to the studio here today.
So, Neville, would Melbourne be the capital of gum leaves for this purpose, or are there other parts of Australia that would perhaps have the edge?
I expect there are other places, but you'd have to have players who probably played it a little bit differently, because you can adapt what you do with your lips and your tongue to match the reed a little bit. But, perhaps Melbourne is lucky and it just has the right sort of leaves.
You've been around the country, Herb. You've been performing.
Right across.
Where's the home of musical gumleaf?
Well, look, it's originally there was a lady that helped me. I'd just like to mention her name, Professor Robin Ryan. She's in Western Australia. She's probably listening now.
Oh, okay.
And she helped to put a book together called A Lonely Sound, A Lonely Place.
Yep.
And that was a historical sort of back view of gumleaf players from 1890 to 1990. And, of course, I found a photo of my granduncle in those photos, which I'm unaware of.
Oh, there you go. It's in the blood.
Yeah, and there was quite a few bands. You know, if you wanted a five-piece gumleaf band back in the middle 30s, you could take your pick and choose.
Yeah, right.
And even with the opening of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, there was a gum leaf band in the contingent of musical scores that was on the opening day of the Sydney Harbour Bridge in 1932.
It's extraordinary just to think there's this whole history, this tradition, and it's a serious pursuit that we just don't even think about it.
Well, look, I was just lucky at the right time, right place at the right time at a certain young age, and the passion of it for many years I've just continued on, and of course I had a wonderful opening up the venue of the Notes when I first appeared on Australia's first ever Australia Got Talent Channel 7, and it was history after that.
Now we've got some audio of you playing actually, and I'm going to get you to play live at some point. So just warm up the chops there.
No worries.
I want to hear what you got. But while you're warming up, we just thought we'd get you in performance mode. Here's a little bit of Herb Patton, one of Australia's leading gum beef players, playing his trade. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the most epic gum leaf performance you're likely to come across. Herb Patton on Australia's Got Talent in, I think it was 2007.
2007, yes.
And you got the high note easily.
Oh, quite easy, yeah. It took a while to understand to do that. It's a lot of technical breathing, especially from the diaphragm. I guess being a sort of a bit of a didgeridoo player, you've got to have good rhythm within your solar plex and through your double breathing and things, as they say.
So the technique's quite similar?
Well, it's not really. It's a lot more concentrated with playing the leaf. When you hit a high note and you're going up, you still got to breathe in, but you don't hear the real sucking and blowing as a didgeridoo.
Yeah, right. Okay, Neville, now we've got you here as a scientist, essentially. So how do you make a sound out of this? What's the physics of it?
Okay, what happens is you push the leaf, which is a little bit bent, against your lips, and there's a little bit of a gap left in your lips. Then you raise the back of your tongue so that breath won't come out your nose. You then breathe out, or try to breathe out, and the gum leaf, of course, is blocking the hole out through your lips. So the pressure inside your mouth builds up until it gets high enough to suddenly flick the gum leaf out of the way and let the air out. And then the pressure inside your mouth decreases very rapidly because the air is escaping, and the gum leaf can come back and close the gap in the lips.
So it's the vibration of the gum leaf that's making the sound, is that?
No, the gum leaf is just being a valve, and it's letting out a pulse of air, and it lets out a pulse of air several hundred times a second because it just keeps flapping backwards and forwards. And so it's these pulses of air that come out that actually make the sound, because each little pulse of air that comes out through the valve brings sound pressure with it. Yeah. And because of the fact that the valve shuts completely every time, the sound has a lot of rich high harmonics to it. So it's not a sound like whistling, which is a rather pure sort of sound, but more like the sound that a violin makes. So it's got a lot of high frequencies in it, which give a very interesting sort of sound to the note. And you can change the pitch by moving your tongue up and down to change the size of the aperture of the volume of your mouth. And if you raise the tongue, you have a smaller mouth volume, so it's quicker to be filled by the air, which means that the whole thing works more quickly and you get a higher note. So there's all that subtle arrangement between just what you do, stretching the gum leaf against your lips, and moving your tongue up and down to get the mouth volume right.
I almost followed you there, Neville. I was hanging on, but I reckon you just got me. I'm looking at an academic paper you published on this, and I'm going to need about a year or two to get through it, just to make sure I understand it. But Herb, was that describe your technique?
Well, he sort of he done an ultrasound view of what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Of what the tongue is doing. I'm not sure what he says, but I've never saw that. I can't picture that, but I can feel it.
Yeah, right.
The actual pictures do help with the breathing techniques. Like if this particular sound, I'll do what I call a blues note. I invented this myself, and you'll hear my voice.
Yeah, let's hear you.
You'll hear the voice and the gum leaf together.
Sure. That's outrageous.
So that's my harmonic.
I just it's amazing to listen to, but to see you do it in front of me is just extraordinary. And the vibrato and the brackiness, so that are these things hard to do?
Look, I took a lot of concentration. Luckily, I had a good teacher. I'll go back to that lady I just mentioned earlier, Professor Robin Ryan.
Yeah.
We've been in the phonetical studio where we've done different sounds and things like that. She was one of my greatest mentors in delivering the gum leaf where it is today, as far as writing books and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And also, it's just fascinated everybody. But I did learn a little bit about my diaphragm and what it does. And since then on, I've learned how to hit pitch control and hit the notes spot on.
With the pitch, is it just a matter of changing the shape of your mouth, or is it a bit like singing? You actually...
I have learnt a soprano to hit a high note. The voice is like she was sort of hitting, just screeching to a certain degree. And when I showed how to do it with a gum leaf, she found the note a little bit more easy to play than because she heard the note, which she wanted to do.
Yeah, so, it's same with singing, isn't it?
Same with singing, yeah.
Yeah, if you hear the note in your head, you can hit it more often than not.
Yeah.
Text messages come in asking a question that I suppose is a little bit cheeky, but in the spirit of the day and the news of the day, it makes some sense. Have you ever played a marijuana leaf?
No, they're too soft, and believe it or not, I did try it.
Oh,
Someone just put it on as a joke to me. And no, they're too soft. You split them every time, and then they're just not the type of leaf, You
show touching familiarity with the
Well, I've tried many leaves, banana leaves, someone challenged for a joke. How broad they are, even an oak tree leaf. So I've had plenty of sort of people come by and try to show me how to... if I can make a sound. I can make a sound out of them, but I can't play deliberate music like I would with this.
Can you make a musical sound? Or
well, not a musical sound, just a sound, something like... Something like
That's a musical sound.
Well,
it's got pitch.
Because
it's got tone.
I can do it with this, but it's not as strong as that. It's not as confident. I don't feel confident playing any of the leaf, but the turpentine as I got here and the river red gum.
Yeah, right. And you have to pick your leaves at the right time. You don't want them to be too dry or anything.
Yeah, well, I have over the years I've learned where to pick a leaf from a tree.
Yeah, right.
And actually under the canopy of a tree because it's not got the bright full sun and the wind is not so guarded by the other leaves.
It's very technical.
Around it. Yeah, and I can feel a leaf with my eyes shut now, and I can know exactly that's the right.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, now look, my producers have told me that I have to do this, and that's basically make a fool of myself. But look, I probably do that every night on this show. So anyway. You're going to try to get me to play. We haven't got long.
Yep.
What do I have to do? I'll have a crack at this.
So you put the leaf, put the leaf on the top lip like that.
Yep.
Now, not too much of a curl coming out under the top lip.
Yep.
Make sure your two index fingers are touching together, and let it rest a little bit on that index finger as the curl goes over.
Yeah, okay.
Wet the top of your lips. Now, make a hum sound like a bee when you do it. Feel it tickling?
Yep.
Do that again. Feel that tickle?
Yeah.
Well, that's where the sound can. Stop the hum when you think you got the sound.
Okay.
You nearly got it there. They could hear the squeaking coming
Oh, that's
through.
hopeless, and I'm getting a head rush and I'm about to faint.
And also, that leaf you're using, as I said, this is a professional gum leaf plant type. So if you stuck to gum chips, transparent, you can peel the membrane off a leaf, and you'll make a sound straight away with that.
Oh, so I'm blaming the instrument. That's what I'm doing. Herb, thanks so much for coming. And Neville, amazing stuff, and amazing that you know so much about this. Herb, could I just get you to play out while I say what's coming up next on RN? That'd be great. Neville Fletcher, thanks for being my guest in the drawing room.
Yes.
Herb Patton, my guest in the drawing room, just playing the gum leaf there.